What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, it's my team selection for Game Week 7. So I'm going to show you how the team is shaping up, thoughts on what transfer to make, why I might play a back four this week as well. And I'll quickly take you through how I did in Game Week 6. So let's get into it. So let's start with Game Week 6, the third game week in a row where I used a chip. So it was wildcard Game Week 4, bench boost Game Week 5, and triple captain Game Week 6. So I've only got my free hit left now. And it was a pretty good week for me again. And I know people will say, well, that's obvious, you used a chip, but how many times have you played FPL in the past, used a triple captain and they've blanked, or gone for a bench boost and not really got a big score? That can happen. So to have 3 good weeks in a row, I've got to say that the decision to wildcard in Game Week 4 is working pretty nicely. And obviously people have just wildcarded in 6, there's still bench boost, triple captains to play and stuff like that. There will be some catch up, of course, but right now the strategy I've chosen has worked pretty well. I've gone from 900k last week to 370k now. So pretty happy with that green arrow. And honestly, if you'd offered me 376k in pre-season after 6 game weeks, I would have taken it. Obviously, as always, I'd rather be higher up, but that's not a bad position to be in, considering we've still got 32 game weeks to go, lots of chips and stuff like that. So very happy. 75 points, 48 of them came from Erling Haaland, and it felt even better because of how late the goals came. It was a weird one because I almost forgot when the matches started that I'd played my triple captain. The pressure just fell off because it was going to be in a single game week either way. I had to use the chip. So I didn't feel like any pressure for it to work well. And obviously a lot of people had triple captain as well, so that always helps. And then as the game went on, I just thought, here we go again. I've never had a good triple captain score. Then he got an assist, and I thought, I'll take that. Honestly, at this point, I'll just take the assist just to get something. For him to then score 2 goals so late on, that felt so good. And if you've been following the channel for a while, you will know I've never had a good triple captain score. Even in all the double game weeks that they've been played in, never happened. I think my highest was like 11 or 12 in a double game week. Last season, I went Haaland against Southampton in a single game week, got 6 points. He scored, didn't even get any bonus. So to come away with 16 points, delighted. And I think in FPL, there's always I think I'm quite a positive FPL manager, but I always think, what could I have done better? And like, I should have gone for Gabriel over Van Dijk. And when the wild card has got that Gabriel goal so late, I was like, oh, okay, it's not so good now. But actually, I've used my triple captain and got 16 points from it. That is good play and a good outcome, of course. There's always a bit of luck involved. I've got to be happy with how things went. Outside of Haaland, Semenyo goal, as he just always does these days, and Senesi assist and defensive contributions, both of them got 7 points. No one else returned for me. And the week started really badly because Bruno Fernandes was the first game against Brentford and he misses the penalty and finishes on -1. Also, I am in a little bit of panic at that point because he's my vice captain. So if Haaland goes and pulls up in the warm-up, suddenly I'm on a -3 triple captain, which would have kind of been epic in a very bad way. What could have been with Bruno? 2 missed penalties. So not only have I got the missed penalty points, but I don't have the 10 points from the goals and the extra bonus that would have come with it. Like, it's probably, I haven't gone and worked it out, but that's probably like a 15 to 20 point swing. Something like that, those missed penalties. Like, I'm not going to go into whether he's a good pick or not, but honestly, I feel a little bit unlucky to have 2 out of 3 miss in the first 6 weeks, given how good his conversion rate usually is. Everyone else blanked. Raya blanked, obviously lost the clean sheet. I mean, Van Dijk was going to finish on a 0-pointer and then quite late on got defensive contributions added. So he finished on 2 points. Anderson 3 points again, defensive contributions. Reinders blanked. Dewsbury Hall got his 5th yellow card for basically a perfectly good tackle. I don't even think it was a foul, let alone a yellow card. He got his 4th yellow card against Liverpool for taking a free kick too early. So he's suspended now, but whatever, right? It is what it is. Yorkeres blank, as he seems to do quite a lot. And then Evan Nilsson 2 pointers. So elsewhere, not great. Paquetá on my bench got defensive contributions for 4. So did Lacroix. But honestly, I'm happy. Like 3 big green arrows in a row. I've gone from 4.3 million to 376k after using 3 chips in a row. That's a pretty good use of chips. So I'm in a good position, but obviously I will start to fall behind now because I've only got 1 chip left. So let's see how I'm set up for Game Week 7. So for the first time this season, and probably for the first time in a long time of playing FPL, I'm going into a game week purposely playing a back 4. It did help that Dewsbury Hall went and got suspended, but even before that 5th yellow card, I was weighing up whether to play him or Joachim Andersen. So obviously that decision has now been made. And basically, this is what defensive contributions have done to the game. I've got 4 defenders who are pretty good for them. Some of them are not bad for attacking threat as well. and there's potential for some clean sheets in there. So playing a back four is just way more viable these days than maybe it has been in the past. Obviously, there was the glory days where Reece James, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Robertson, Cancelo, etc. were amazing. Those days are long gone. But now we've got defensive contributions. We're going to see back four and back five more often over the next few weeks. So Lacroix Everton away, some chance of a clean sheet there, especially now Dewsbury Hall can't play, because as we know, he basically runs that team. He's good goal threat as well, so I'm more than happy to play him. Senesi, Fulham at home, chance of a clean sheet. The only defender so far this season to go 6 out of 6 for defensive contributions. And by the way, it's not going to happen forever, right? There will be times when even these great DEFCON guys don't get them. But he's averaging over 13, I think, per start. That's ridiculous. You only need 10 as a defender. So he's great. Van Dijk, I'm a little bit concerned about. I can see from watching Liverpool games it's not quite right. And they do feel like they're a bit more open defensively than they usually would be. I think Jamie Carragher pointed that out after the Champions League game as well. He's also said that in previous games. So it's not just a new thing. And I agree with all that. And obviously, Alisson's injured now. He might be out for a few weeks. So they're going to play Mamadashvili, who is a good backup, but he's not Alisson. Like, Alisson is great. Palace would have scored way more goals than they did at the weekend if Alisson was not playing and they had a different goalkeeper in instead. So I'm a little bit concerned about Van Dijk. But also, I look at the stats, and 4 out of the 6 games so far, they've kept the opposition down to 1xG or below, including Arsenal, who, as we saw against Newcastle, were really good defensively. From an attacking point of view. So I'm kind of conflicted. I completely get that people are worried about Liverpool defence right now. I just don't think I can sell Van Dijk. You know, I wouldn't buy him this week. I wouldn't include him on wildcard. And if I still had a wildcard to play, I would consider selling him. But because I've already used mine, I've got to be really careful about what players I get rid of. And I just can't help but think, when you look at future game weeks, I might want him back. In fact, I probably will want him back. I just think there's so many fixtures from kind of game week 10 onwards specifically, where I'd want to play. Like, Villa at home is fine. Forest at home in 12 is great. West Ham away in 13, not bad. Sunderland at home in 40. He's going to play all these matches. He's had 4 out of 6 defensive contributions so far. So when the clean sheets come as well, plus he's got some goal threat, I think he will be a pretty good option later on. So I don't think I can justify selling him to buy him back later. That's 2 transfers. It just doesn't feel worth it when he's already in my team. And you always get these kind of dilemmas. Like, sometimes on a deadline stream, I'll tell one person to play a player and then another one to sell them. Because how your team is set up will depend on, you know, what you do. And with mine, I think with 2.9 million in the bank, I could do Van Dijk to Gabriel, who I really want this week. And that would obviously leave me a lot of money to put in the attack. But then we're also saying that defenders are really good this season. So why not spend a bit more money on them? Basically, if I get Gabriel without selling Van Dijk, I'm cutting myself off from Salah for a while until I sell Haaland potentially, or until I've got 3-4 transfers to kind of shift funds around. I think that's okay. I don't feel any pressure to get Salah back right now. So I'm probably going to keep Van Dijk and play him. And I'm probably going to do Goodmanson to Gabriel and bench Joachim Andersen. So Joachim Andersen will go to be my first bench instead. So I'll have Lacroix, Senesi, Van Dijk, Gabriel. The only problem is, last night Gabriel got subbed off, potentially with an injury. Now, Mikel Arteta said after the game that he was fine and he could have continued, but they need to manage him because he's off the back of a long-term injury. Now, when I heard that, I thought, what was the long-term injury? And then someone reminded me, shout out to Ted, that he was quite late back to being kind of fully match fit in pre-season. And so I think it was a hamstring injury or something like that. So they are apparently cautious with him. And I think a lot of people thought it was Raya landing on him, but Arteta said it was a kick in the first half or something. I think Gabriel will be fine. He'll probably start this weekend, but obviously it has put some doubts on it. So I'm going to weigh up what Arteta says on Friday, but as long as I'm positive enough that Gabriel will start, I'm going to do Goodmanson to Gabriel, use up most of that money in the bank, and just go for a back four and bench Joachim Andersen. In goal, it's easy. It's Raya against West Ham at home. By the way, when I get Gabriel, that's triple Arsenal, so I do cut myself off from Saka as well, but I'm kind of okay with that, I think. I don't know, with that much money in the bank, it does leave lots of options open. And also, I kind of like the idea of rolling into the international break and going into game week 8 with lots of money, plus 2 moves to kind of really shift funds around if I want to. And there are a few players in this team, you could argue Van Dijk is one of them, where I think they are pretty good options and they will tick over with the points, but they're not necessarily great value right now. And so having moves to transfer those players around, it's in the back of my mind. I just don't think, like, Gabriel is just so good this week if he starts. Like, West Ham defensively, especially from set pieces, not great. Will Nuno make them much better? Maybe. But also it's a great chance for a clean sheet as well. Like, Gabriel is probably the best defender in the game right now, especially with the fixtures Arsenal have got coming up. I don't know if I can go into a game week without him. Like, if I do, I haven't checked when Arsenal are playing. Hopefully it's Saturday at 3. Yeah, it's Saturday at 3 and it's not on TV. So I could just pretend it's not happening, but I won't be able to track that game if I don't have Gabriel. And I've talked about him so much this week. I just need to put myself out of my misery. So it'll probably be Goodmanson to Gabriel, bench Anderson. But there is a chance if Arteta's a little bit coy about how fit he is or something like that, or if he puts any minor doubt, that I just roll instead. So my midfield 3 is Tijani Reinders against Brentford away, Bruno Fernandes against Sunderland at home, and then Antoine Semenyo against Fulham at home. On the bench, Dewsbury Hall, who, as we know, is suspended. It's not really a huge issue for me, to be honest, because of the way the squad is set up. I've got 15 playing players. And this is kind of why I like having a good bench, because you don't get pushed into having to make moves when a player misses out through like injury or suspension, because you've got cover. And actually, I'm probably not going to play Dewsbury Hall anyway until game week 10 now. It's City away next week, so he's definitely getting benched then. And then I might play him in game week 9 against Spurs at home, but probably not. So Sunderland away in 10 is probably the next time I'm going to look to play him. So I'm not too concerned about that suspension. And then Paquetá is also on the bench for Arsenal away. Now, in the past, again, I probably wouldn't bench a player like that. Maybe because of how good Arsenal defence is, I might consider it. But he is on penalties. I don't like benching penalty takers. But in this era of DEFCONs, I've probably got to play the defenders instead, because West Ham scoring a goal against Arsenal is not that likely, especially like more than one. So Paquetá is my first bench. I do have that 2.9 in the bank. So if I sold Paquetá, I could go up to like an 8.8 million midfielder. So I could go and get Mbeumo or Cunha to go along with Fernandes against Sunderland. I could pick up someone like Foden. I could even go, someone worth considering now, Anthony Gordon, who took 2 penalties for Newcastle last night. And I think from what I saw on Twitter, the second one, Voltemada wanted to take it, and Gordon basically said no. So he is clearly first choice penalty taker, which there was always a chance of happening once Isak left. And the fixtures are not bad. Forest at home, Brighton away, Fulham at home, West Ham away next 4. The problem is his minutes are not fully secure right now. I think he will start most games, but you even see, against Arsenal, 66 minutes. They are managing players because of Europe and stuff like that. And they've obviously got Barnes that can play there as well. So I like Gordon, but I don't want to rush into it, I don't think. So I'm pretty happy with the midfield. It feels wrong to have that much money in the bank, but if I'm going Gabriel, it doesn't matter. Reinders, still pretty good. Maybe if there's a period where he starts getting benched, I worry about that a bit more, like when Marmoush and Cherki are back, etc. But he's been a mainstay in that Man City midfield so far, and the minutes have been good. Bruno Fernandes, I can't sell before Sunderland. Like, one of the reasons to roll the transfer is because it would allow me in game week 8 to go Bruno to Salah and Yorkresh down to Guiu, or even like a Strand Larson. So I could shift money around and have Salah, but then that cuts me off from getting Gabriel. If I don't buy him this week, because maybe he's a doubt, I still want him game week 8 onwards. So I'd probably just keep Bruno for a little while. I'm not super happy about it, but then last week I was saying he was a good option, so I should stop flip-flopping with him so much. He's still going to play, he's still going to get chances, so he's not a huge concern. He's just one of those players I don't consider great value right now, but it's Sunderland at home, so there's no point overthinking it. And Semenyo is just great. I just can't justify selling him anytime soon. And then up front, I've got Evan Nielsen against Fulham at home, Haaland against Brentford away, and Yorkresh against West Ham at home. The captain's armband is on Erling Haaland, and it's not going anywhere. Yes, Bruno has got Sunderland at home. The thought has crossed my mind briefly to go there as a massive differential, but I cannot back against Haaland right now. I think it's 20 goals and assists in his last 10 games I saw people talking about last night. Another 2 goals in the Champions League. He's getting so many chances right now. I cannot back against him, especially for someone that keeps missing penalties. So Erling Haaland captain, that's fairly straightforward. Evan Nielsen stays for now. I think he's fine for the money he costs. Fulham at home. There's no one I specifically want to move to either. Like Watkins would be way too short term. I've got no real interest in Richarlison, because I just don't think his minutes long term will be great either. João Pedro is not in the Brazil squad, which is good for owners, but apparently it's because he's got a small physical issue, like a minor injury. Maresca does keep talking about that, like every press conference it feels like. But I don't see it as a massive problem if you're an owner, but I'm not going to buy him before Liverpool. So there's not really anyone I want to move to. Maybe Mateta, But again, he's got Arsenal away in 9, so I think I can wait until game week 10. So Evan Nielsen stays almost by default of not really wanting any other forwards. It's not that I think he's great. I just don't think anyone else is great either. And honestly, I keep thinking that, and it makes me think that I should just take some money out of the forward line. Like eventually just go to Guiu and just tank the spot, or just go cheap like Calvert-Lewin and just put the money in midfield or defence. But to do that, I need transfers. This is what has been playing on my mind all week. I'm going to get Gabriel. I'm going to do it. I know I will. All right, unless there's a doubt that he's not going to play. I've got to roll in game week 8. I have to start rolling the transfers to start shifting some money around. Because I think long term, I don't necessarily want that much money in the forward line. But I think it's okay for now. Gyökeres against West Ham. The only slight issue is he played 90 minutes last night. I was hoping he would get subbed early so that he then definitely start West Ham. I'm not quite sure. I think he will start. But it's not a guarantee. There will be changes in this game. Saka and Eze didn't start the game last night. They'll be straight in, obviously. Maybe he plays Marino up front against West Ham. It could happen. And if that does happen, I've got to give serious thoughts about when I sell Gyökeres, especially if Havertz starts being back on the menu soon enough. Like if we see him be in team training and stuff like that. So Gyökeres and it's just and Fernandes a little bit. They're just always on my mind of do I need them. It's just about when I sell, and it's not obviously going to be this week because the fixtures are so good. But there's no way I could captain Gyökeres this week. I wouldn't have that much confidence in his minutes. But yeah, it all relies on Gabriel. It's Gabriel or roll. Like if Arteta says he's out, it's probably one of the easiest roles I'll have all season. Because although I've got the money in the bank, I'm pretty happy with most of these players. And I don't think it would be worth like making a big move in midfield just to bench Anderson. I'd rather just play him and have 2 transfers after the international break because there could be injuries and stuff like that as well. So Goodmanson to Gabriel, I kind of wish I didn't have to do it. In some ways, I wish Arsenal just had a bad fixture this week so I could just ignore it and roll. But we all know I'm going there. I'm going for Gabriel. If you enjoyed that video, make sure to give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you tomorrow for final thoughts.